You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer before and during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be provided for you. Has anybody threatened you to talk to me today? Do you understand your rights?
Me and my daughter is homeless, and I was taking cash to feed us and keep us like a shelter and stuff like that. And I admitted to everything.
Okay.
I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
Definitely before you leave, I'm very sorry about everything, but based on the circumstances, you know.
On February 13th, 2024, officers responded to a reported employee theft at a Five Below retail store. A pregnant cashier had allegedly siphoned hundreds of dollars from the registers using a quiet little trick called the mid-void. So the question is this: when survival meets the law, which one actually wins?
So their employee that started on December 10th was working here. She made her first fraudulent mid-void transaction on December 19th.
She's still 10-12?
She's back there with Dalton right now.
Okay.
I haven't read her or anything because I thought you guys were in something else.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then her last was February 5th of the mid-void. So what the mid-void is customer is making they're returning.
At that register right there, that's what she does.
So they're turning in money for a product, right?
Correct.
And then the customer then pretty much leaves. Before she even opens the door, she clicks
Mid-void's the sale, correct.
The sale, so it shows that the money was returned, but the door never opens.
As if they forgot their wallet. They just turn and walk.
Okay.
And so the money never gets put in
And
the
we have
drawer.
copies of these transactions.
I have not only transactions, but I also have a
Video.
screenshot, and I've got 15 or 20 sample videos, which I'll have to burn and send to your file.
Okay,
after.
perfect.
I was going to give them a link for Exxon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, perfect.
the total amount of successful mid-void transactions is $14.23. So grand pass.
Yeah.
She is 6.5-ish months pregnant.
Okay.
He has compassion, but at the same time, he said the store needs to put the foot down. And
She
so
claims she was homeless, and then that her 17-year-old daughter's walking around out here, and then she stole the money for hotels and food.
Okay.
But they want to prosecute. So
Sounds good.
I spoke to Sarge because I didn't know you guys were open. I just wanted to verify everything we did still to make it 10-15. So she said, yeah.
I have a packet, gentlemen, that has the overview with Officer just said there a little bit, with some pictures with all the transactions, and then once that gets assigned or whatever, I can then send you all a fund drive, or I can uplink that to your platform.
Okay.
And her name is Latoya. Like I said, I haven't met with her or talked with her. I'll head back there and just get him started on scene.
Yeah, I'll talk to her.
Okay.
Thank you.
She was just
Okay. You mind if I talk to her for a second?
no, but go ahead.
Okay. Hello, are you Latoya? All right, I'm just going to read something off for you real quick, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer before and during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be provided for you. Has anybody threatened you to talk to me today? Do you understand your rights? Okay, so what happened?
Me and my daughter is homeless, and I was taking cash to feed us and keep us like a shelter and stuff like that. And I admitted to everything.
Okay.
I'm pregnant.
Yeah, I understand.
We sometimes we sleep on the steps.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the hotel we at sometimes.
So how are you taking money?
Like sometimes they overpay me. I take it, put it in my pocket.
Okay.
Or
Who would overpay you?
the customer.
The customer? They want to ask for change, or?
No, they don't ask for change. Or sometimes I void out a ticket. It'd be like $20 or something like that, just to feed us for that night and stuff like that, or whatever. But
How many times do you believe you've done this?
he said it started in December, but we didn't start sleeping on the bench until I said January, but he said December. I don't remember taking anything in December, but I was honest to the whole thing. I mean, I took it.
This is a statement you're writing for them?
Yes, sir.
And it's Latoya Luster, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what,
So the total was $1,495.
that's what he said.
You believe it most likely?
I wasn't keeping up with anything.
Okay.
Nothing. If we needed something to eat, I just looked at amount of food and stuff.
So what's going on with your daughter?
Nothing. We stay together. We just.
Yes, sir.
No, I just needed a folder that we need to maybe get.
You can get whatever you need.
Sorry.
We stay together, so just to feed.
So what brought on the hardship?
We were staying. We had a place, and I ended up losing the place or whatever. And then I got pregnant, so we were staying with somebody, and they told us we had to leave. So we moved to the hotel and stuff. You know, hotels sometimes they get highs and stuff like that. So, and then by me being pregnant and stuff, so I just do the best I could.
Okay. How old's your daughter?
My daughter's 17.
17. Well, there's resources to reach out for stuff like that.
I reached out to them and stuff. My doctors gave me resources or whatever, but the shelters, they say they overbooked and stuff. So I reached out to them. Like, it wasn't my intention.
Okay. So how many times do you believe you taken money from over the span of what, from December till now?
He said from it started December. I didn't take anything.
That's all right.
The only thing it started was I thought it started after the 31st, my first time.
After the 31st of December? Okay.
We didn't have nowhere to sleep.
What's the most you've taken in like one period of time?
It usually be just like $20 here, $20 there.
Throughout a shift, you might do it multiple times. Okay.
I
mean, because $1,400, that adds up if you're taking it at $20 a pop.
That's how he said they added it up and stuff like that. But that's I know that's what I take. Like
And when did you start again? December.
I don't remember when it started. I think 12, 14 and stuff like that.
All right. Well, let me talk to the manager and I'll come back. Okay.
Let's start with the charge, because the dollar amount is doing all the heavy lifting here. Under Florida Statute 812.014, theft becomes a felony at exactly $750. Below that line, it's a misdemeanor. Above it, you're looking at third-degree grand theft. That's up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. Now here's where it gets interesting. Each individual transaction was around $20. On its own, a misdemeanor. But under Florida Statute 812.012, prosecutors can aggregate thefts committed pursuant to one scheme or course of conduct. Add them up, and a string of small misdemeanors transforms into a single felony. That's the legal mechanism behind almost every employee theft prosecution. Then comes the Miranda warning, and this is where procedure really matters. Under Miranda versus Arizona, decided in 1966, the officer hit all 4 required elements: right to silence, statements used against you, right to a lawyer, appointed counsel if indigent. Under California versus Prysock, decided in 1981, the warning doesn't have to be word for word. It just has to reasonably convey the rights. He cleared that bar. But here's the procedural gap. He never obtained an explicit waiver. He asked if she understood, then went straight into questioning. Florida courts will often accept an implied waiver under the totality of circumstances, but best practice, the kind taught in every academy, demands an express waiver. Something simple like, "Do you wish to speak with me right now?" Without that, you're handing the defense an avoidable suppression argument.
You mind saying 10-12?
So
essentially, she was saying that if customers overpaid, that she would take that money and then she would void accounts. How exactly?
So here's what happens. So you come up, a lot of these are international customers. This is 1995. Hey, how you doing? Never credit, all cash sales. 1995. So that'd be 1995, sir. And then Perfect. You want to make a copy of this? Do you need the original, or would you like the?
We can take a copy of that.
You
Yeah,
can make a copy.
I mean,
and keep me the original.
do we even need one of their witness? Yeah, we don't even need one.
So what you see on video is, we had one queued up if you want to see it. She comes up 1995, and she's going to say, "Let me 1995." The customer will give them a lot of times 20 or 19 and 95 in cash.
Okay.
Most of them around here are kind of they don't want the 5 cents. They don't care. So she would push the bag to them, and then she would kind of delay. And if they turn and walk away, they have not even hit how much they gave her. She hits mid-void. That sale is null and void, as if they went, "Oh, I don't have my money." The drawer never pops open.
Okay.
They go off with it and into the pocket or under. Yes, sir. And so that happens. So in some cases, they gave exact change. I don't want the receipt. In other cases, they didn't. She'd say, "Don't worry about the extra amount," and they would go off. And I saw her put them under the keyboard, under the drawer, in her pocket. She did it a number of different ways, basically. So that's how you take their mid-void. It's a very easy way to take cash.
Did you get her identification?
No.
Now, the counter-argument viewers will raise: she's pregnant, she's homeless. Isn't this exactly what the necessity defense is for? Under Florida Standard Jury Instruction 3.6K, the answer is almost certainly no. The defense requires a real, imminent, and impending threat of significant harm, with no reasonable legal alternative. Florida courts have consistently rejected necessity for property crimes driven by general financial hardship. Hunger is real, but it isn't legally imminent. That said, those same facts still carry enormous weight, just in a different room. They matter for prosecutorial discretion, for plea negotiations, for pretrial diversion, for sentencing mitigation. The same circumstances that fail as a courtroom defense can absolutely save someone at sentencing. It's the difference between 5 years and probation.
Okay,
I'll
I
take
get
that from you.
that.
Is there a way I can pull it back to get her out the back, or do I have to bring her throughout the front?
We would, to make it easier, we can absolutely disconnect the D-Tex around the back and have you come around the back.
Okay.
Absolutely. Hey, Oscar?
Do you want me to get her identified, or do you want to do it?
I can
Since
do
you've
it.
talked to her.
Yeah, it's not going to be right now. It's going to be in a
Okay.
second. But. And where's the ID at? Here, if you don't mind, I'll grab it. Is it in your wallet? Right here. LaToya Lester? Okay. Can you just hold your hands out like this for me?
How far along are you? 6 months? 6 months?
Well, you want to put up here? Did you get a search for it, right?
And you don't have anything that's considered contraband from the jail, lighters, cigarettes, drugs?
No.
So how do you stand up? Go ahead and face that. Nothing in your pockets that you know of?
I'm just going to put this over so.
Better? Is that good? You have?
Alright.
Definitely before you leave, I'm very sorry about everything, but based on the circumstance, you never know.
Okay. We're going to walk over here. Second person I got. We're going to be over here. You got the paperwork for me? Okay, sweet.
On the search itself, the officer was on solid Fourth Amendment ground. Chimel versus California, decided in 1969, allows a search of the person and the area within immediate control, incident to a lawful arrest. No warrant required, no separate probable cause. The pre-transport contraband question was textbook procedure for jail intake. The officer earns a B+. He cleared the constitutional minimum on Miranda, used open-ended questioning, and arranged a discreet back-exit arrest path for a pregnant, non-violent suspect. That last detail matters more than people realize. He loses points only for the implied waiver issue, an avoidable risk in any case where the physical evidence is weaker than this one. The suspect, Miss Luster, earns a C+. She remained calm, didn't resist, and avoided any conduct that could have stacked additional charges. But after being explicitly told she didn't have to say anything, she gave a full confession. Every element of grand theft, established in her own words. The right to silence exists for exactly this moment. She didn't use it. First lesson, and it's the most important one. If you are ever arrested for anything, do not talk to police without a lawyer present. Not because you're guilty, not because invoking your rights makes you look bad. Because criminal defense decisions made under the stress of custody without counsel almost always go badly for the suspect. Second lesson, sympathetic facts and legal defenses live in different worlds. Pregnancy, homelessness, a hungry child. These don't satisfy the strict elements of necessity under Florida law, but they absolutely belong in front of a prosecutor or judge at sentencing. Mitigation isn't a defense, but it can be the thing that keeps you out of prison. Third lesson, and this one is for officers. Implied waivers are legally risky. Whenever possible, get an explicit, on-camera verbal waiver before substantive questioning. It costs you 15 seconds, and it protects the entire prosecution. The strongest cases are still won on procedure. If there's a Bodycam video or a legal question you want us to break down, drop it in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and join us for more in-depth legal analysis.